So we're going to be shooting into a video today on how to be a total executor. And this is a video that I think society needs more than maybe any video that I've ever put out. The reason why I say this is because there's so much in personal growth that talks about, let's say, for example, meditation and how to get present to the moment. Or, we talk about self-love and we say we've got to love ourselves. Or we'll talk about how to make money or make cash or be successful. And we'll talk about how to be successful within these large frameworks. But what I'm going to be talking about in this video is how to just be a straight up executor who's able to handle all of the little things that actually add up to something big. And you know what's funny about that? I bet you me even saying that, you're already getting bored of the video. And you want to know why that is? Because most personal growth is more about self-soothing, telling yourself that you're great, than it is actually stepping up and producing the results. This video is specifically going to be for you if you care a lot about results. Major results orientation. You want to get results in health, wealth, relationship, higher purpose, or anything that is in your life. This is a video that you got to watch. It's going to be going in fine-comb detail on how to be a massive executor and get things done. To be honest with you, I think this video should be some sort of a corporate training. I run a business myself, and this is what I teach within my business to help everybody to execute. And if you follow this, your life is going to change maybe more than from any video you've ever seen. Now, if you want to go even deeper, and you want your life to change massively as you're watching this video, my other recommendation to you is click the link below and get onto one of the free calls that I can do from anywhere in the world. This is a system that I built up. And like I talked about, my own business, what I've done is I built a free call system that can take you through your sticking points, your challenges, and your goals, and go through all of that in great detail and give you a ton of free value. I do this because I find that the more free value that I put out there, the better that I do myself. Okay, it's called offering value. But what I'd love for you to do is to receive that value. So click this link below, and we're going to be setting up a free call that you could do from anywhere in the world, and you're going to hit me up and thank me later. I get a lot of people blowing me up about this free call. People get excited. If you want to be adventurous, okay, you want to just switch up your day a little bit and make this content real and bring it to life so that you're not just watching me through a screen, but it becomes real, click the link below and set up a free call, which you can do from anywhere in the world. You're going to really love it. And in addition to that, I also do free events all over the world. That's called the free tour. And if you'd like to learn a little bit more about that, you can also click another link below, which is for the free events that we do all over the world in major cities. So we can both meet in real life at a free event and also talk from anywhere in the world, talk to the team in this free call that I've set up, that I've put a lot of work into to take you through a powerful system to get you to your goals. Okay, so click this link below now. We're talking about execution. That's the first step in your execution. Now, as you're doing this, lay back and enjoy this video that really should just be this massive corporate training, and I predict is going to be one of the most useful and valuable videos that you have watched this year. Let's go. Most of you in here understand what it is that you need to do in life. You have a general understanding of it. And one thing that I learned from social skills is that you already know exactly what it is that you're supposed to do, but you just won't wind up doing it. You already know what you're supposed to do. Like if you go into a bar, club, or a party, you know what it means to just go to engage with people and talk to people. You know when that amazing time to say, oh, let's go grab a bite together. Hey, let's go to an after party. You already know when that is. You already know 90% of what it is that you're supposed to do. So the challenge for most of us is not in the knowledge. It is to an extent, especially when you're starting. But for many of you in this room, it's not the knowledge, it's the execution. All right, it's a failure to execute. Now, I'm going to break this down. And again, this is a temporary kind of little breakdown, just a simple way to understand it. Don't use this permanently or make some new jargon, but just to understand at a basic level, I'm going to call it Derper, okay, and that's somebody who derps around. Say that word, Derper. Derper. Okay, that's just somebody who's they call that a Derper, somebody who's derping around, somebody who's kind of just like, looking around, right? Then I'm going to say executor, say that with me. Executor. And then last I'm going to say transcendent. Okay, so we're going to go from what's the first one? Derper. Second one? Executor. Third one? All right, so I'm going to try to show you the characters or the characteristics of each that I think could help you to do this, okay? So Derper, to me, what that is, somebody who's very passive. And it's something that even for me is sort of a shadow because I grew up as a Derper in a major way. And I fight the derp every day of my life, okay? Every day of my life, I recognize derping and I fight back against it with great passion because I know that derping will destroy your life. There's people that have given their lives, they've bled for you to have the opportunities that you have today, for your life to just be awesome. People have sacrificed so much, And meanwhile, we sit here and we don't capitalize on the opportunities that we have. It's really, really unfortunate. I mean, something as simple as a nightclub that people would complain about and say, oh, I hate nightclubs, da-da-da. Do you realize like what had to happen so that you could go to that nightclub and have a couple hundred people who you could engage with in that nightclub? Like people had to come from Europe, and then there's many different ways it could happen, I guess, but as an example, people came from Europe. Then people built cities. Then people came to those cities. Then they built nicer areas of those cities. Then people who were, the kind of people that you'd want to meet moved into those cities. Then some poor club owner had to go take out a loan and build a club. Then there had to be a bunch of different promoters who actually talk to people all day long every freaking day in order to be able to meet those people and bring them to the club so that you can go there and say, this club sucks. I hate the club. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, it's like all those things had to happen. So I try to generally focus on gratitude in life. What is it that I'm grateful for? What is it that's good about a situation? And so on and so forth. That would be my recommendation for you to do that. So you live in a world of incredible opportunity. Now, what most people do, which is very sad, is derping. What is the typical thing that I see with derping? It's some of the following things. Number one, driven by wanting to be numb. Okay, so that word numb. No. And number two, driven by a desire to be on autopilot. Say autopilot. Okay, so in other words, what this means is that most of us, basically what happens is that when we're younger, we get traumatized, like bad things happen to us. And then I jokingly, as a joke, like to call it the Satanic entertainment system, just a joke, because I think it kind of just makes it very visceral. Say that with me, Satanic entertainment system. I call it that, and what I mean by the Satanic entertainment system is the fact that we eat food that has very, very low nutrition, which then deprives our brain of the needed nutrients to be able to think clearly. Then we wake up, we take stimulants to wake up because we didn't sleep properly. We go to bed at weird hours, we wake up at weird hours, there's light flooding through the window in most cases, you have too much light in your room. Then we have to wake up tired and then take more stimulants so we don't get good sleep. So imagine your brain's already low on nutrition, then you're on low sleep, then you're looking at media that has too much flashy jump cuts going on, so your attention span is being depleted. You live in a world where the heroes and role models are often people that are very degenerative. I had to coach a guy the other day who his role model was the rapper Future, and he said that he just wants to take drugs the rest of his life and do all these other things I won't mention here. And I think Future's a pretty cool rapper and whatnot. I could enjoy his music. I'm not uptight about that. But if that becomes your real role model, that's a challenge. I remember I met somebody out at a club, and you could see this person viewed Cardi B as a Tony Robbins cassette, and they were playing Cardi B on a loop while driving around the city frantically looking for things I also won't mention here. So basically what you have is that we have degenerative role models, attention span depleting media, bad nutrition, bad sleep, demoralized as a society. I mean, think of the degree of demoralization that we have socially to where when you even say hi to somebody on the street, they often don't even want to talk to you. Think about that for a minute. Like staring into their phone, you ask them a basic question and they're just like, yeah, whatever. Because they feel so disconnected. Like when you see someone doing that, don't even be mad. You should feel bad for them. They don't even know how to look somebody in the eye or have a basic conversation with somebody. It's completely insane. So that's the kind of world that we live in. And then what they do is, because we're not present to the moment and because we're kind of traumatized and stuck in the SES, the Satanic entertainment system, as I'm jokingly calling it, and I'm using that terminology just so that whenever you see this, you can recognize it quickly. You're like, oh, that's the SES. That's what it will say to you. Your brain will just go boom, and you'll see it happening to you. And that doesn't mean to go around moralizing people, and it doesn't mean you can't have a little fun. You want to listen to Cardi B, listen to Cardi B. It can be fun. I have no problem with it whatsoever. I like gangster rapper, I like NWA, all that stuff. But that's not a Tony Robbins self-help tape. That's entertainment. Okay, it's like if you play Grand Theft Auto, that's fine, but that shouldn't be a code for life. So that's kind of what you have to get at yourself. Now, going from that standpoint, we live in an environment that's just like that. And it gets us to where our attention span is depleted, and we may not have some larger sense of purpose. So as a result of that, we want to think as little as possible, and we want to be on autopilot. Now, how do you tell that this is happening? A couple different basic ways. Let's say, for example, you go to a restaurant, and you say, hey, could you add such and such condiments, say a tomato, onto a dish? In most cases, they won't bring that to you. Even if you told them 5 times, they won't bring it because they're on autopilot. They don't want to leave and get off autopilot. I'll have it to where maybe I go to a chiropractor and the chiropractor wants to leave 5 or 10 minutes early, and I get in there and I'm like, hey, say it closes at 7 o'clock. Let's say that I got in there at 6:45. They should probably stay open. I've just run down to the chiropractor. They don't care. They want to get out of there because their main goal in life is to be on autopilot and to be numb. That's their version of entertainment, numbness, just to space out, to derp out, watch TV, play video games, get high, get drunk, not have to think, not have to use their mind. What happens is they get to a point where for them to think, they get to a point where it hurts them. They don't want to think because thinking creates cortisol. Is the main thing you need to understand. Okay, it's these stacked if-then statements in the mind, and we stack them that burns us out. It burns us out mentally. It makes us feel tired. So just like after a great day of a workout, let's say that you did squats, you did legs that day, and you kind of walk out of there and you're kind of, your legs are like jello. That's how you should ideally look at the end of most work days. You should have used your brain, and you should have done a lot of if-then statements in your brain. And I'm saying that as sort of like a loosely defined if-then statement. It's basically your mind having meta-level awareness and doing a lot of sort of, computation. And what will happen is you're going to be continually driven out of your autopilot, okay? And what happens is that you have to use your prefrontal cortex and think, and people want to stay away from that. And so this is what we saw in 2020, especially to where people don't even want to think. Like, in 2020, 2 plus 2 equals 5, okay? It's like 2 plus 2 equals 5. Like, let's imitate what 2020 looked like. Hey, everybody, 2 plus 2 equals 5. Repeat that after me. 2 plus 2 equals 5. It's 5. And then be like, because they said so. Say that. Because they said so. Yeah, that's what it is. In 2020, 2 plus 2 equals 5. Everybody knows what they're seeing is a lie. Everybody knows. Only the most dense of dense derping people don't know. And yet no one says anything because they don't want to have to think. They want to give away their power to some authority and not think. There's even articles coming out saying, don't think. In major publications, like I think New York Times put out one like that, I think it was. Whatever it was. And that's this idea of derping. So this is that moment. Let me give you a couple examples of derping. You put your keys down in a place where you don't normally put them. Guess what? It's going to take you 2 hours to find them. You know that, right? Now, as you put the keys down, you're like, I know I'm not going to find these for like 2 freaking hours. I basically just, for me to put my keys down here and not here, I just lost 2 hours of agony searching my house for my keys, right? You should know, and there's a little voice in your head that says that. Then you put the keys down and you don't remember where you put them and your day is now ruined, okay? That's the idea of derping. Or for example, say that there's something under your bed that you lost and you know it's under your bed. You know it's under your bed. But you don't want to have to flip your bed up, so you kind of loosely look around your room, whatever, right? And like, it's under the bed. Yeah, whatever, right? Because you don't want to deal with it. You don't want to have to actually pick it up and look under the bed. These are basic level things to understand that is base level derping. How about this? You have some idea, some really, really good idea or epiphany, and you know that you should write it down because you know you're not going to remember what you're thinking later. But you say to yourself, no, I'll remember. I've tested this. I have so many great ideas. If I don't write them down, gone forever. Maybe my mind will think of it in some other permutation, and I won't be even sure, what that idea was. What I realized was that I work with a range of different people. I work with people, many who are flat broke and really struggling, and literally just this past weekend, I was working with guys that are probably billionaires net worth. I'm not even sure, super rich, like most obnoxious weekend you could ever imagine. Okay, so I work with people that are arranged. I have one-on-one clients that are wildly wealthy. I have people that come to group programs that are struggling, and I have every single person in between. And you want to know what I noticed about the people that are making hundreds of millions of dollars who I coach one-on-one? They think they're dumb. They're like, I'm too dumb to remember this. I'm going to write it down. Meanwhile, the people that are broke think they're smart, and they don't write anything down. That's consistently what I notice, right? It's just consistently what I've noticed. I'll talk maybe later tonight about some other differences I've seen between successful people and people who struggle. There's a clear-cut difference. So going from that standpoint, that to me is what derping is. It's this constant desire to just get out of having to think. Anything to avoid thinking and anything to take the path of least resistance. Say that word, path of least resistance. Okay, outstanding. Okay, say the word autopilot. Say 2 plus 2 equals 5. 2 plus 2 equals 5. Go. Because they said so. They said so. 2 plus 2 equals 5. Did someone say it was 4? Get them. Someone said it was 4, even though we know it's 4. Get them. Show your tribal affiliation with willful delusion. Literally, that's what that is. It's like in the same way that a blood or a crip would wear like a blue bandana or a red bandana to show they're a blood or a crip, people will do the 2 plus 2 equals 5 thing just to show tribal affiliation, knowing that it's wrong. It's just to show tribal affiliation. Very quick.
I think people will defend those things more because they know it's wrong and they know that everyone else knows it's wrong. So if they do not attack it as strong as they can, then everyone will be, oh wait, do you not? Are you thinking the thing that's in my head that's in everyone's head?
Yes.
It's almost worse that it's so obvious.
Yes, 100%. Yep, it is. It's. I think what you said is absolutely true. Okay, so going from that standpoint, now what I want to do is I want to talk about what it means to be an executor. An executor, to me, what that means is that you come from a standpoint that you're not afraid of the cortisol. You're like, oh, I feel cortisol in my brain now when I'm having to think. That's okay. It's okay to have some cortisol in my brain. It's okay to have to think. Wait a minute, I'm being told 2 + 2 = 5, but I swear I'm like 2 and 2, all I'm getting is 4. Maybe that means it's 4. So people understand at high levels that because people are low nutrition in the brain, bad sleep, extremely demoralized, insanely short attention spans now, people at high levels who want to do naughty things, and by naughty I mean, whoa, basically what they do is they know that, we'll go naughty. Basically, okay, very, very naughty. So what they do is they understand that people are on autopilot. They don't want to think, and they will just do whatever something in authority tells them to do. And it is super crazy. Now, on the upside of this, because not everything is downside, what are some upsides with a society of derpers? Well, there's a lot of cohesion. People don't, people kind of go along with the flow. They don't argue. You don't want to have too many chiefs and not enough Indians, right? So you want to have it where everybody just kind of goes and toes the line, right? You have that. The problem is that is only going to work up to a point. And so when our school systems is churning this out, and when people are just being put into that kind of mindset, it's not going to work forever, okay? There's going to be huge, huge problems. It would be better to teach our young people how to critically think and how to question things. Skepticism and cynicism is not a bad thing. They try to frame that these days as a bad thing, to just question things and use your brain. How are we going to ever get ahead as a society if we don't have a society of people that are using their brain? So that's just the most wrong-headed thinking you could ever imagine. It's going to be the end of us, by the way. So people need to wake up, like now, today, people need to start waking up, okay? But we can say, everybody else needs to wake up. I want to enlighten society, but meanwhile, you forgot your keys because you put your keys in the wrong place. So understand that, it's almost like there's two different types of meditations, okay? It'd be the best way I put it to you. One type of meditation is where, as an example, you probably heard of it, you sit there for 20 minutes and you get present to the moment. Now, what is a great advantage of, say, meditating for 20 minutes? What kind of problems does that solve? It helps you to transcend your ego. Let's say that your ego is out of control, makes you realize that you're not your ego. And let's say, for example, that you're making so much money that you're becoming attached to the money. It can help you to get out of attachment, things like that, right? That's a very, very powerful meditation if you have too much of an ego or if you have too many attachments, which most of us do. So that's an example of a transcendent meditation. But what about people that are in a derp state? If somebody's in a derp state and they don't want to think and they don't want to get out of autopilot, is sitting there staring at a wall blankly the next level meditation? Hey, it'd be better than looking at social media. So in that case, actually, it could be a good meditation. I don't think anything bad is going to come from meditating, but I don't think that is the ultimate version of a meditation. So basically what you have is that, now, here's what I would call, rather than a present to the moment meditation, I'm going to call this an execution meditation. I'm just going to take that concept of meditation and spin it on its head. And I'm going to say that specifically because for a lot of you, you're not money driven. You're awakening driven. And making money as you awaken is very cool, but you're awakening driven. So I'm going to show you some things that you could do to awaken and get out of the derp state. I'm going to give you a little list here, okay? So number one, make a conscious effort to assert yourself in situations. Make a conscious effort to assert yourself in situations. In other words, if you go into a restaurant, maybe be the person who moves the chairs, maybe help lead other people, maybe say hi to the people who work there, give energy into situations. Maybe you see someone you like to talk to and go ahead and engage. So that would be the first one. The next one, as far as this execution meditation, is start writing everything down and learn to double and triple check to see if you're tricking yourself. You've got to understand the degree of self-trickery that goes on in the human mind is really, really frightening. So start writing, okay, maybe get an app. There's different apps for this. You can write it down on your laptop. You can write it down on a notepad. I don't care. But start getting used to writing things down as you think of it, as you get ideas, as there's things that you need to do, because your brain isn't built to have this many spinning plates. It's just not. And you're going to fail. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, and also double and triple check things. What I'm trying to show you here is the way that your mind is tricking you. Notice how when you would assert yourself in a situation in a restaurant, your mind starts tricking you into disengagement. Or maybe you double or triple check something, your mind tricks you into disengagement. Just continually notice how your mind is tricking you. Another one, train yourself to do new things outside of your autopilot comfort zone, okay? So anything, like even something like if you're right-handed, just playing with your left hand gets you out of autopilot. But there's many, many things that are actually even more difficult than that. But anything that you can do that gets you out of autopilot is very, very powerful. And something that you should just do whenever you can, okay? Any kind of new things.
One thing I've done to do that, like if I go to the grocery, I just take different paths, just to like train my mind, like not.
I really like that. And then from there, take it to really high levels. But that's the way you start. Next up, the most important question in the world in my mind is what else? In other words, what else could I be doing with this time? I ask myself that question constantly because generally speaking, we know what the answer is in life. We know what we should be doing. So for example, say that you're at a bar club and you're a bit nervous to go talk to somebody. And you think, I want to sit here and be nervous to go talk to somebody. Instead, what you could do is just say, what else? What else could you be doing with this time? What else could you be thinking about? Maybe I could go talk to somebody. As you're sitting there wasting your day, just think what else. You've got to understand, the average person has no clue the opportunity cost that they're burning. There's so many opportunities and they're just burning them left and right. The people that I work with that are very, very financially successful, these are people who are really, really good at getting to the crux of where the value is. They quickly, there's the value, they go right to the value. They don't waste time. These people don't mess around in most cases, okay, unless they've been wealthy a long time and they got lazy. The ones that are actively building wealth do not mess around. They don't waste their time. They don't waste their thinking. They don't waste their actions. It's like an Olympic athlete. A self-made millionaire is like an Olympic athlete. You know, Michael Jordan, he had no wasted movements. People that are very successful, they don't have as many wasted thoughts. They understand where the value is and they go for it. So when you see somebody, for example, talking trash, or when you see somebody complaining, or when you see somebody gossiping, or when you see somebody in victim mode, or when you see somebody looking at things that are not helping them and they're not even that fun, they're just getting numb and autopilot and path of least resistance, understand that in my view, this is spiritual. This is like, again, the satanic entertainment system. It's designed to burn down your time, burn down your energy, burn down time capital, focus capital, emotional capital. If you want to take time off, go take time off. You absolutely should. Go have fun. Go do your thing. Go enjoy yourself. But it should never, ever be for things that you don't even enjoy, like complaining and talking crap and just feeding yourself a bunch of negative energy. So when you see people that are wasting time, in many ways, it has a satanic type vibes to it because what they're doing is they're using that to burn their time down so they can't accomplish anything. If you or I go into a bar or club and then I just start meeting everybody and having fun and laughing and having a great time while you're sitting there looping around, that looping around looks relatively innocent until you realize it's not. It's you dimming your own light. It's you hiding from success. It's you stuck at a low level of success. You're doing this to yourself. So understand that. People that are at a high level, they go right to the best books, they go right to the best teachers, they go right to the best thoughts, they go right to the best action. If they want to go get, if they want to go party and get drunk one night, they can do that, but that's not the general MO. That's called a break, not a lifestyle. Next up, okay, so what else? Just say that word with me.
What else?
All right, next up, do constant audits of what could go wrong and prepare for it. I always struggle to find people to hire. It makes me so sad. I've got work for so many people, but yet I've a really, really hard time finding people to hire. Why is that? Simply for the fact that the average person is not willing to double and triple check things. They're not willing to audit things. They're not willing to take responsibility. It's this ongoing problem that you'll see consistently. And the big one, again, what could go wrong? How could this be misinterpreted? So many people who I deal with, I say, hey, could you go tell that other person this? They go do it, but it becomes a game of broken telephone because they don't anticipate the way in which it could be misinterpreted and clarify it. What I'm also always doing is I'm looking at somebody in the pupil and seeing how much of an extended attention span they have. And if I can see they're derping out, I make them repeat it back over and over obnoxiously because that's the only way to have a 70% chance they're going to hear you. There is no 100. 70 is 100. Okay, and by the way, I hate to say it, but most of society, from what I've seen, are in positions to where some corporation or whatever basically has excess energy, and like a barnacle ball, they kind of clasp onto it. But in most companies, the main people driving it forward is a much, much smaller number of people. The average person in it really, really struggles to think for themselves, really, really struggles to take responsibility. It's very, very sad what you see. And it's just the sheer amount of wasted workforce that you see in the world is unreal. People complaining, wasting time, being victims. There's way too many opportunities. It is, again, Satanist vibes. Yep.
That's the Pareto principle, 80-20. 20% of any group will account for 80% of the results.
Yes, and the big thing to take from it is that if you run a business, you want to get rid of the people that are doing that. And also what you want to do is focus on that in yourself, not just blaming everybody else. Okay? Next one, work on extended focus activities. So instead of just looking at the dumbest social media app that you can physically find, instead what you might want to do is pick the hardest to read book that you can find. Go pick up James Joyce Ulysses or something like that that will challenge you, or the Iliad and the Odyssey of Homer, or Atlas Shrugged, or just anything that is just long and slow going, and learn to build your attention span. Look, I remember back being in my mid-20s and trying to read Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, and I remember myself sitting there and I thought, I feel like I need to take a nap. And then I was like, how come every time I pick up Atlas Shrugged, or Fountainhead, I feel like I need to take a nap? I don't normally need to I haven't taken a nap in 5 years. Why do I feel like I need to take a nap? Oh, because my brain wants to derp. That's why. And then I fought through that and held my eyes open forcibly and built my attention span. It's also what meditation does. It's also what exercises like this do. So keep that in mind as well. Next one, work on extended focus activities and basically take the path of least resistance and most effort. Take the path of least resistance, most resistance and most effort rather than the path of least resistance. And that's a Freudian slip there. So look, whenever you're walking around, you'll see with your buddies, somebody can be the person who picks up the piece of clothing on the floor. Somebody can be the person who shuts the door. Somebody can be the person who says, let's walk up the stairs, not the elevator. Things like that. Anytime that you do that, you can take yourself to another level. You think you're getting out of work when somebody else does it? No. All that happens is that they do it for you, but then you lost that opportunity to get 1% stronger or 0.1% stronger mentally. Number 8, take total responsibility for yourself and everyone around you. Anticipate their lapses in focus, their flawed judgment, their pattern of failure, and your own. In other words, you've got to be doing ongoing audits of how much people are derpers. Constant derp audits on yourself, derp audits on the people around you. Just constantly be auditing the derping from now until the day you die. You should be able to look at someone, look at them in the pupil, and see how much extended focus they have, and look at their limiting beliefs, and look at how they're probably going to self-sabotage and complain and make errors, and where their flaws are and where their weaknesses are, and you've got to be able to anticipate that and then be able to cover for them. If you're LeBron James and you're throwing a pass to one of your teammates, he has to know where what that person's shooting skills are, and so on and so forth. So you've got to anticipate that not only in yourself, but in other people. And this is the kind of harder self-help that a lot of people don't want to talk about because they want to talk more about law of attraction, just feel good and you get free money. And I get that, but I'm trying to show you the way that it actually happens. And this is the base level. Later, you're going to have to learn how to scale. This is just getting you down, and as you learn to manage yourself, then you can learn to manage others, and then you can scale something massive. So for many of you here, you talked about making money. I'm showing you the basic foundation of it. Now, next one, number 9, take proactive control of your emotions and try to raise the ceiling and max out your emotional bandwidth. In other words, realize that emotions are addictive. We all get addicted to what you call a state set point. And so you're going to have it to where, if I were to say to you right now, what is your average happiness that you have in a given day? Let's say that it's a 6. That's an addiction. So you want to get to the point where you're addicted to a 9 or a 10 or at least an 8. Okay, and you're addicted to being present to the moment, and you're addicted to being empowered. Keep expanding your emotional range. Number 10, stick to core principles even when it's hard. So in other words, I have a lot of clients, very successful people, who they have people messing with them and people distracting them and people who want to pull them into their crap. Remember that whole thing, don't argue with a pig because you'll both get muddy and the pig likes it? That's hard to do when people are messing with you. But you've got to understand that they want to pull you into that world so that you can go down that little dark path with them and so that you can get your time wasted. There's people in prison who are like, yo, I shot that guy, but I showed him I'm a man, and things like that. And that's their version of being tough, right? That's their version of being tough. and they want you to like get in a gunfight with them so that you can both just rot in jail. Don't let them get you to that point. People are going to do that again and again. Next one, start looking for truth, not just what feels like a popular opinion. And again, notice how your mind zones out. Your mind just zones out. Do you know that most people can't even think accurately because they're so afraid for their safety that their brain, their reticular activation system, their selective focus is only scanning for what will get them popular approval? What will get me approval? Am I allowed to think this? Is it safe to think this? Not, is this true? So in other words, if in society 2 + 2 = 5, if that becomes popular, all they want to do is sit there thinking, okay, 5, right? 2 + 2 is 5, right? And they get this stupid look on their face where they're like, they run up, they're like, hey everybody, so I'm super trendy. 2 + 2 is 5. Right? Like, I did it. Give me the tree. I did it. I did the thing. 2 + 2 is 5. I did the thing. I did it. Pathetic. That's not how a human being should be. Your mind should be scanning. Is this accurate? Say that with me. Is this accurate? Rather, okay, high-level people, they're able to look at something, they know it's accurate in 2 seconds in most cases. Why? Because they have the strength to seek out the truth. If you feel that you're at risk of being kicked out of the tribe, your mind won't even allow you to consider the truth. Do you realize that? Your mind won't even allow you to consider the truth. Then the opposite side of that is people that are just dumb as a rock, and that's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, and they think they're right about everything because they're addicted to the dopamine they get from being right and being better than people. That's not really a good idea either. You want to be coming from a position where your dopamine is naturally high and high enough that you don't have to either rely on being a know-it-all or rely on trying to fit in the group. In other words, what you do is you say, is this accurate? Then you do your research and you understand how to do research. And just because you found some weird rabbit on the internet that's an alternative view, that doesn't make it true either. That doesn't make it true either. Like, I found this other way of thinking, right? Now you're just in some other tribe. You're in this alternate tribe. It's not about being in a tribe. Number 12, work on solving the toughest problems you can solve. Let me give an example. What I do is I'll shoot video blogs. I'll go to Montana and, I'll spend $30,000 for a video shoot out there or more, and I'll bring out my whole team and I'll bring out piles and piles of camera gear. And then what we'll do is we'll do a hike up into the mountains where there's grizzly bears. And then grizzly bears will be blowing by us while we do a video blog beside a waterfall. Okay? And I'll spend a couple days writing similar kind of writing I did here. You guys don't want to see me doing writing, right? This year I did writing. So I'll write out the content for a couple days, put it largely to memory. Then I'll go fly into Montana. I'll go hike up into the mountains and I'll go do some really, really challenging video. Why don't I just do it at home on a handycam? Because I don't want to do the easiest kind of video. I want to do the hardest kind of video because it's not just about the algorithm and it's not just about getting paid. It's about using the work that you're doing day to day to cultivate your mind and to become more intelligent. So you want to be pushing yourself. So always take on the toughest version. Now, at different points, you're also going to want to look on ways of, is it easier? But here's the difference. Yes, when you're this like Olympic athlete type entrepreneur or whatever it is you're going to be in life and you're operating at a high level, well then yes, at that point, when you've beaten the derp, okay, you've got your foot on the neck of the derp, like you're down there now, I'm the boss, okay? When you've got full control of the derp, then at that point, maybe you want to start making things easier. And even then you want to have some passion things you do, like what I was talking about with the Montana thing, and you can do that too. But understand that if you want to make things easy, then do so within the framework of scalable systems to where there's this epic machine going. Not easy to sit on your couch smoking weed and eating Cheetos. There's a difference there. It's a very, very big difference. How are you guys enjoying learning about this right now, by the way? Thank you. Okay, number 13, think beyond yourself and into how others experience the world from their paradigm of reality. Most people are so shut down, they're stuck in how they feel. They're very easily offended, their dopamine goes down easily, they get upset easily, you have to walk on eggshells around them, you can't talk about blunt truth, they super flip out. It's very sad. And it gets to the point that people who know the truth about reality don't want to talk about it because they'll be persecuted for it. And I can attest to that. So, yeah. So just be aware of that. Be aware even that as a side note, any information you're absorbing, there's plenty of people out there that know the truth, but they will be persecuted for saying it, so they don't say it. So for anybody who's just looking at mainline information sources, be aware that it is very, very, very filtered. This is not 2013. You might want to wake up and realize that, okay? This is not 2013. So Okay, there was a very, very different world in 2013. Now, it is just going to be like, it's so funny. People like hit me up on, say, social media platforms and DMs, and they're like, "What's your opinion on this?" I'm like, "Whatever the terms and conditions of the platform says." I'm like, they're like, "What?" But we're in the DMs. I'm like, they're reading that. Like the AI is reading that, and then I sound crazy. I'm like, they're watching. The AI is watching, and I look crazy. The AI is reading this, right? But that's what they're doing. Right? So, like, my opinion is what I am told to say. You're gonna take that opinion. You wanna know your opinion? Now you know. But hey, you're still free to have your own different opinion elsewhere, except we monopolize all communication. But hey, you're free to sit in your basement and give your opinion to the wall. Oh wait, no. Go to the actual public square. Oh wait, we monopolize that too because everybody's sitting here like this. Now there is no public square. It's like if you take over the oxygen, you say you're free to breathe some other oxygen. You took over all the oxygen. So great. Okay? Funny how it works. But hey, you're still free. So just be aware of that. That's the information that you're getting. Dumbed down, agenda-laden drivel. Way to go. But stay safe. All right. So next up. And everybody knows it's true. Everybody knows it's true. Anybody who denies it, it's just basically, I'm an idiot. That's like, no, that's not true. The translation, I'm an idiot. But wait, I said the thing. 2 plus 2 equals 5. Okay? Wake up. And again, just because you found some weird rabbit hole on the internet as an alternate view doesn't make that real either. Okay? Because the problem is, with all this crazy stuff going on in the main line, that leaves predatory alternative views that can be put out there because people are so desperate for truth, like maybe this is the real one. So you got to learn how to have critical thinking. This should be taught in grade school. They think that they're going to get by with breeding another generation of derpers. Not going to work anymore. Okay? It's going to result. It's already had bad results. It's going to have worse results. Woo! Okay. You guys ready to fight the derp till you die? Yeah! All right. Okay. So thinking beyond others and being aware of their paradigm of reality, most people are so traumatized that they can't think into what somebody else is thinking, and they really, really, really struggle with that. So you want to learn those different skill sets. Things like marketing, conflict resolution, social skills, all that is the art form of understanding another person and providing value to where their paradigm is and meeting them where they're at. And then from there, if you can interest them, you can challenge them, but not right away because they're not ready to hear it. Okay, next up. Focus on, there's a lot in here, isn't there? We're about 2/3 of the way through here. This is heavy stuff. Focus on nuanced truths and not feeding your ego with easy truths. So in other words, there's a lot of truths that like people, they'll go do something. They're like, how was that? How was that? Like, who cares what they said? You already know how it was, but you're wanting ego stroking. You know if what you did was good or not. Now, getting feedback from professionals is different. Come and work with me, I'll give you feedback in an area that I've been studying for 2 decades. But your knucklehead friend, their opinion doesn't matter. So begin to take the needle out of your arm of that and actually begin to evaluate things for yourself. You can get some feedback from friends and whatnot. Don't get me wrong. It's good to get some feedback from friends, but it shouldn't be to the point that your dopamine's low and you're like, could you refuel my dopamine, please? Can I please have some dopamine from you? You're great. Thank you. Okay, that's not what leaders are made of. That's not what leaders are made of. Okay, you know why I don't care about criticism from 99.9% of people? Because I wouldn't take their advice. So why would I take their criticism? It doesn't matter to me. Next one, 15. Learn to access transcendent states through meditation and flow state activities and contribution and pushing your edge. One of the saddest things, not only do they want to take away from us the ability to communicate, but they don't even want us to have the ability to access the transcendent without alcohol or drugs. And then that gets pushed out too. Average person struggles deeply, deeply, deeply to get present to the moment. Very, very sad when you see that. And the only way to get present is by poisoning the mind and tricking the mind. And then it gets to the point where I give all these different insights online, and people come up to me every day and they say, what hallucinogens did you take? And I say, look, if you enjoyed to have an hallucinogenic journey, that's super epic. Good for you. But don't assume that that's the only way to have some kind of an insight or to get present to the moment, okay? Don't assume that. So going from the standpoint of to the transcendent state, you've got to be able to access via flow state activity, via meditation, via pushing your edge, via contribution, how to get into a present state, how to get deeply, deeply present. So you got to know how to do that, and you got to train yourself on how to do that, and that's where insights come from. You should be waking up in the middle of the night with all sorts of cool insights all the time, multi-million-dollar business ideas, ways to talk and talk for your social skills. You know, you should feel amazing energy flowing through your body, making your body feel vitality on a regular basis, feeling tapped in. Don't give that power away to a substance. Next up, 16, take control of your beliefs. Create new beliefs that are empowering. Look at your beliefs closely. Next up, 17, look for constructive feedback from experts. 18, think ahead and connect present behavior to future outcomes. Major thing that people struggle with. What is my present decision? What is my future outcome? And keep tracking that. 19, listen to that inner voice that knows that you're being lazy and make immediate course corrections. Okay? When you put down the keys, you go, John, you know you're never going to see those keys for the next 5 hours. And you go, no, I'll remember this time, right? Or maybe, let's say, for example, you didn't want to eat the bread at a restaurant. And then they put the bread on the table. And you're like, oh, I'll just leave that there. You're like, maybe I should tell them to take it back. Yeah, whatever. I just won't eat it. Maybe I'll have one bite. Maybe I'll have 2 bites. Does it matter that you do that? No, it doesn't matter at all. The problem is not the bread. The problem is what it says about your level of awareness. The problem is how you rationalize. The problem is that you keep giving inch after inch after inch until you see what happened in 2020. It's inch after inch after inch after inch until by the end of it, you're at the end of the rope. It's this continual concessions that you make for yourself, that you make with yourself, that basically gets to the point where other people can do that to you. And understand, too, this seems to be very, very well understood. People, it is human nature to keep pushing boundaries until there is a boundary. Do y'all understand that? It is human nature to keep pushing boundaries until there is a boundary. Okay? So in other words, I have children, right? My son Dylan, he likes to watch YouTube. If I let him watch it for 10 minutes, he'll watch it for 10 minutes. Then he'll get 20 minutes. I've tested this. He will watch YouTube. I've tested this to see because I was curious. My own son, a guinea pig, I guess. But as I was curious, I was like, let's see how long he'll watch YouTube till. He'll watch it from when he wakes up and not go to bed and just keep watching it like a crack addict. So I have to put a boundary there for him because I'm his father. I even say to him, I go, Dylan, look, someday you can watch this all you want, but you're young right now. I'm your dad. I got to help you here. I explain that. I like rationally explain that to him. I don't judge him because he's got a dopamine satanic entertainment system pumping down his brain and he doesn't know that. And he's just like that. He has no idea. So they will keep pushing the boundary. I don't do this, but most corporations will keep raising the price up until what? Until people stop buying. Or they'll lower the value until what? Until people stop buying. I personally think it's cool to add value. I think it's cool to get prices down. But most people, they will keep lowering the value and they will keep increasing the price until it hits an equilibrium point and then they stop, right? Well, what does that mean if we have a society of people who have no boundaries at all? And that now that's been figured out and is apparent. Where are we gonna be?
They won't stop.
And never. Look, I used to live in the Runyon house in LA. Okay, it's like this house top of Runyon, Kansas, a big house. And I had a buddy, really good friend of mine, one of the coolest people. And you know when I realized this is human nature? Such a nice guy. I love this guy. Like the greatest guy. If he was here, he'd be like, that's a great guy. Honestly, it's a great guy. And literally, he said to me, so I let him live in my crib because he was gonna train me. He's a personal trainer as well. So I said, hey, why don't you stay in my crib? So I let him stay in my crib. And then he said, hey, could I have a guest over? I said, sure. Then like a week or two later, he said, could I have another guest come stay? Sure. Then he said, can I have another guest come stay? I said, sure. Then I just stopped tracking it. By the end, it was like 50 people living in my house because I'd be just traveling, running programs a lot, right? And literally my buddy Jeff calls me. He's like, bro, it's literally a refugee camp in your home right now. There's people sleeping under the tables, okay? There's people that, all this different stuff. And there was like 50 people. See, I kept thinking, well, if I let him have 6, because I don't want to be rude. If I let him have 6, he'll stop at 6, right? But then it's 7. If I let him have 12, he'll stop at 13, right? But what happens is that he's also, it's not his fault. He's a nice, responsible person. As much as all of you are like, I wouldn't do that to Owen. I wouldn't do the 50 people. Human beings all roughly do relatively the same thing. So if he did it, you would do it. It is human nature to simply push the boundary. So if people in our society do not wake up and there's not a boundary, then realize where this is going. There's an inevitability to where this is going. It is inevitable. It is a law of human nature to where it's going to go. So have some kind of a boundary. Okay? So when you hear that inner voice that says, this is kind of messed up, it might be. It's all right here, baby. Test yourself in fluid situations. Okay? Test yourself in fluid situations and recognize what's unfolding and adapt. Best thing about sports is that, the ball is moving, the puck is moving, or whatever. So it allows you to recognize fluid situations. I'll see a lot of unconsciousness happening, a lot of derping, when friends of mine, there's something changing or happening, and everybody kind of freezes up. Look, a simple example, don't ever go do this. Never, ever, ever, ever do this. So as an example, you'll see these, like gangsters, an example, right? Like gang members. They can walk up to another gang and just knock somebody out in a big group and walk off. Do you want to know why that is? Because people will stand there and they have what's called normalcy bias. Can you say that word, normalcy bias? Okay, so literally what happens is that somebody could walk up, knock their friend out and walk off, and they're just like, because it broke their pattern. It broke them out of autopilot, so they can't think straight. I can remember I was in Hawaii in 2006-ish, and there was this really big earthquake, and it was pretty soon after the really sad one that happened in Thailand or whatever it was, where I think it was like 250,000 people died. And so I'm oceanfront apartment, and there's this earthquake, and nobody took to higher ground. Everybody went out. Guess what they did? Went back to bed. I actually got up, and I actually went to higher ground, but I knew that probably nothing would happen. But I just knew, I'm like, I can't just trust that everybody's just sitting here. But again, you can feel your mind falling asleep. You can feel your mind trying to take the path of least resistance. You can feel the derping. And what do? Fight the derp. I'll say it again. Fight the derp. Good. Practice holding as many spinning plates in your mind at the same time is another one. 21. Number 22, take extreme ownership of your life. 23, do constant audits for what causes failure. Keep failing forward and creating new systems. Okay? I'm always looking at where's the failure points and whatever it is that I'm doing. I do this in social skills. How do you think I figured out all this stuff? I went out for years and years and just looked at where the failure points were again and again and again and again and again and again and again. To the point I can show you a perfect night. Everything you need, perfect night. I can show it to you. And I do this in everything that I'm doing at a high level. Some areas of my life are not a high level. But the ones that are, I'm continually building systems. Next up, number 24, take on an identity as being at the cause of your life. Say that, I'm at the cause. Oh, do you guys realize how not even opinion that is in this day and age? To say that you're at the cause, to say that you are at the cause of your results, to say that you are the white pool ball, not the colored pool ball, and that you can have an impact, and that you can have influence over your outcomes in life. Okay, it's complete insanity. Okay, I had this one video where I was giving some critical feedback to a friend of mine, and I brought him up to the front. I gave him some critical feedback, some feedback that he desperately needed, and it helped him. And then it went on TikTok, and they said, you're being a jerk to him, and it got 4.5 million views almost overnight, and everybody went crazy, and it went on all of these major different YouTube channels, got millions, probably 10 or 20 million views in total or something freaking crazy like that, all from the mindset that somebody couldn't actually take control over their life and that their life is just going to be a freaking joke and that they could never be successful and that they could never change and that they could never actually take a proactive role in their outcomes and that they're just stuck and that by me giving feedback after years and years of me learning what feedback to give, that was just me being mean. You want to know who he is? Could you stand up? It's my friend right here. Could you come up to the front for a sec? Come up to the front. Okay, say to him that he has no control over his life and no control over his outcomes. I get feedback given to me, but he should not be given feedback. How did that make you feel hearing that?
I mean, that's messed up.
Yeah. Do you have control over your life?
I knew. Yeah.
Yeah, and do you have control over your life now?
Yes. Every day.
Tell them.
I have control over my life 24/7.
What would you say was the biggest change you made since last year? Or 2 years ago?
It would have to be the derping. Mm-hmm. 1 year ago, I got rid of the social anxiety, but this year, the derping. Like, I wasn't like I wanted to just sit down all day and not do anything, watch videos, but now, like, every day I gotta do something. I got a list, I gotta do it. No wasting time, not wasting 1 second. Time feels very slow, too.
That's epic. I'll bring it up again. That was amazing. Thank you. Right? And look, it's fine to be fun. It's like, I think that some of those videos just meant to be funny. That's fine. But some of that was serious. And, you know, the funny stuff is fine. Funny's funny. Clowning's funny. I'm cool to take. I could dish out. I could take. That's fine. But for people that are serious about that, like, you can't, like, the underlying framework that you're not in control is the basis of communism. You should understand that. That's the basis of communism. So they pump that in your, here's what they do. Who is communism the best for? The elites, rich people. Why is that? Because it verticalizes the economy, right? So what happens is that you convince everybody who's struggling that it's not their fault, it's everybody else's fault, and then they collectivize, and then they do the communist thing, and then the people at the top get mega rich. It's an assault on the middle class. Understand that. It's an assault on people, mom and pop shops, people who maybe run, you know, a laundromat, a computer repair shop, an auto dealership, a restaurant. It's an assault on them, okay? It is waging war against them. So they put out this narrative and they get everybody thinking that they're at the effect. That's how you lay the groundwork for that. It's the oldest scam in the book, and it will happen in societies. Anytime a society becomes prosperous, it's going to happen again and again and again. And what they'll do is they'll divide people under different lines, and they'll usually do it by class system, but in certain countries they'll do it in other ways. And it's just really, really sad to see it. And it doesn't mean that there's not wrongs in society that can be fixed, because there absolutely is, including a lot of very disgusting stuff, but not if it's done for the purpose of laying the groundwork for communism. And that has to be honestly understood, and we have to be honest about that. So anybody who is saying you are at the effect of life and you're a victim, just check them out, and maybe they're right and they're trying to help, or maybe you check them out and they're communists, and you got to be aware of that, which one it is. And it could be either. And they might even be right about a lot of things, but it doesn't change the fact that they're laying the ground for communism. So be aware of that. Next, okay, notice the audience goes quiet because you know it's true. Sometimes 2 + 2 = 4. 25. Realize you're in a trance and keep taking action to wake up out of it and remember who you are. That's the last one that's the most important out of all these, is the realization that you are in a derp state. It's that basic realization. I'm in it, you're in it, we're all in it, because we're all part of that satanic entertainment system of crappy food that is everywhere you go. Everywhere you go, it's everywhere. Garbage food, distractions, nonsense, bad role models, degeneracy and garbage. And some of that can be a little bit fun. It's okay to have a bit of fun with that, but it can't be a Tony Robbins manual, and it can't be a way of life. So that is this idea of execution at the level of viewing it like a meditation. And the distinction that I'm trying to make here for you is this. View this like an active meditation. In other words, if you sit down and you try to get present to the moment by meditating for 20 minutes, you also want to sit down and say to yourself, how can I actually execute? How can I wake up? How can I break out of autopilot? It's, you know, we'll talk about meditation as this really empowering practice, and it absolutely is. I made videos about it. I believe in it. I'm a longtime meditator. It helped my life. It changed my life. One of the most powerful practices. But the other one that we don't like to talk about is execution. You know why? Here's the reason why. Because and this is one of the downsides of capitalism, by the way. What are the downsides of capitalism? It doesn't mean to get rid of it, by the way, it just means to understand it, is that certain things get incentivized. So if we were to go onto vidIQ, vidIQ is a tool that you use which will show you where the search engine traffic is. If I go right now and I want to make a spiritual channel, where's the traffic at? I'm going to have to talk about twin flames. I'm going to have to talk about The Secret. I'm going to have to talk about law of attraction. Okay? Soulmates. Mindfulness I'd be happy with. But you see this idea, which is that the traffic is in a niche. So a lot of the spiritual traffic is in this kind of hippy-dippy Venice Beach thing. I live in LA right now, and I can tell you, if I go to Venice Beach, it's a lot of hippy-dippy stuff. A lot of broke people who think they're using the law of attraction to find a parking ticket, or a parking lot, and maybe a parking ticket. A lot of people that are flat broke who think they're going to use the law of attraction to get super rich. Is the law of attraction real? I actually kind of believe it is, but not if you're a derper. Okay, because the law of attraction is a basic insight. Not that you just get what you want, but that you get what you are. So if you're an executor, you're going to do well. Now, that being the case, we don't hear a lot about using execution as a meditation. We don't think about it as a meditation, but I believe that what it does is it lays the groundwork for spiritual awakening. And the reason that I say that is because it's like a body. The execution meditation that we talked about here, I'm using the word meditation to make you realize it's not just about money, because many of you are not driven by money. I'm not driven by money. So understand that I view it as a meditation. I view it as a meditation. I view it as a meditation. I don't just view it as a way to bank it. So coming from that standpoint, it's like a body. You have the skeleton. The skeleton is that awakening so that you can go into the cortisol. And what it does is it gives you the chance to be proactive. It means that there's a proactive consciousness. It means that you're saying, I'm not going to be part of the freaking satanic entertainment system. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to actually have proactive control of my life. I'm not going to sit there being a derper. I'm not going to sit there saying 2 + 2 = 5. I'm not just going to stay in autopilot. I'm not going to stay in the path of least resistance. I'm not going to stay there being numb. Instead, I'm going to wake up. That's really what it's meant to teach you. So it's a practice day to day to not going into trance. In the trance that they want to put you in, the trance that they have designed to put you in, the trance that in the past year you have seen revealed what is the outcome for. Okay, like you've seen in the past year why you got put there. You now know. You've seen it with your own eyes. You can pretend that's not the case, but look with your own eyes. Don't even take it from me. Look with your own eyes at what you're seeing in front of you and wake up. So then from there, you have the transcendent. Remember I talked about Derper, executor, and transcendent? Does that make sense? So that's this idea that to get to transcendent, yeah, you can sit there as a derper, pumping down Cheetos, spaced out, forgetting your keys, and then you can try to use the law of attraction, or you can try to just meditate your way out of it. Well, that's going to help you in a big way, I'm sure, but at the same time, you're still stuck in autopilot, you're still numb, you're still taking the path of least resistance. So this, at the base foundational level, is what's going to allow you to begin to wake up, okay? And it's like the skeleton, but then on top of the skeleton is, you'd almost view it like the flesh. That's the transcendent. I'm going to talk about that next, okay? I'll talk about that next. But that's the skeleton. That's what's kind of propping up the whole thing, if that makes any sense, okay? So can everybody here commit to try to break out of autopilot trance, to break out of derping, to break out of numbness, to break out of autopilot, to break out of this kind of system that you're surrounded by that's trying to get you asleep? Being numb is not fun. It's not. Okay, it's not. And honestly, it's relief, it's coping, and when you're in a really low place, I get it. But that's why you want to be, and that is where things like meditation can help, because when you start to alleviate trauma, it doesn't hurt your brain so much to go off autopilot. But you've got to train your mind to do this, and as you do it, it's going to make you very, very mentally tired. But if you can do this and you can get it down, yes, you can bank it. Yes, you can make a lot of money doing that, okay? I'm not guaranteeing it, but, because you're not allowed to. But the point is that I think it'd be pretty challenging to work this hard on your execution and not see some kind of a benefit, right? Okay, so that's the basic idea of it. And then from that standpoint, though, it's about waking up. It's about saying no to the system, okay? It's about saying no to the system that's designed to keep you in a derp state. And by the way, almost every marketer, almost every product creator is just reinforcing this system. Like I've told you, I work with a lot of people that are flat broke. I work with people who are in the middle, and I work with people that are uber rich. And it's funny because, in my view, one of the things that I'd be doing if I had that kind of resource, if I had $20 billion, is I'd want to do something heroic. Wouldn't you want to do something heroic if you had that kind of money? Wouldn't you want to do something heroic? Yeah. But one of the great, but would you really? Because how many of them do? And why would you be any different? Y'all looked at World War II and said, you know, if I was living in Germany, I would have been part of that. And look at what you did now. So if you think about that, now, is it as bad? No. But look at what you did now. And we'll see how this all turns out. So understand that you say you'd be heroic. You say, if you're uber rich, you say that you wouldn't be like my buddy that put 50 people in my house. You say. But I don't believe you. I don't even believe you for 2 seconds. I think you do the same thing, because I think humans kind of do the same thing. I think our education system didn't give us the tools that we need not to do the same thing. So going from that standpoint, it's sad, but you know, I'll be around people that are making mucho dollars. So I'm not talking a couple million, and they just want to kind of keep the party going. They're not thinking much, because you know what they think of you? What do you think they think of you? They think you're a joke. They think you're a joke. They think you're food. They think you don't want better for yourself. They think you won't take the action. But if their products and marketing put you there in the first place, how is that fair? But I'll tell you what you do have right now. You have me sitting here in front of you, and I'm rubbing this in your face. So whereas before, perhaps, maybe before this talk, it might have not been your fault. Now it is. Now it is 1,000% your fault. Any failure that you have in your life is now on you, okay? Because you've had this rubbed in your face for hours now, okay? I'm sitting up here screaming my lungs out like a crazy person, okay? They say, can I get damages on the derp? Okay, there's nothing more a human can do with the time that I have than this. So this is me saying to you, hey, wake up. So that's the basic foundation of it, okay? It's this basic idea that you can wake up out of the derp state and become an executor. That is your next step in your life.